Dave DeGuzman inside the NBC4i Digital Center, another edition of the Digital Sports Roundtable, and we are counting down to the Olympics, which means we are ramping up our preview coverage. So to help me out, we bring in digital content producer and fellow Olympic superfan, Orri Benatar. Today we are talking all things golf. First off, Orri, how are you doing?
Doing good. I'm getting excited for the Olympics, just breaking down all the different sports, learning about a bunch of sports we only know about every 4 years.
I know. I feel like we know a little more than the average casual viewer, but like just a bit because there's so many out there. But we're going to start with golf. We love golf here in Central Ohio. Obviously, we just had the Memorial here about a month ago. But we should be looking forward to a really exciting tournament. A lot of the players that we saw in the Memorial we're actually going to be seeing in Paris, and Paris should be very exciting. That's the third tournament since golf's return in Rio back in 2016. And the venue also kind of familiar to a lot of golf fans, especially those who love the Ryder Cup, right?
Yeah, so Le Golf National will be the host for the golf competitions for this Olympics. It's located about an hour's drive away from Paris, so it's not technically within the city of Paris, but it's easily the most well-known golf course that that's hosting an Olympic event since its return to the games. I think it was originally in the Olympics, in like the early 1900s, and then had like a 100-year break.
Yeah.
But that might be trumped in 2028 when the Riviera course hosts the LA golf competition. Obviously, the Riviera hosting PGA major tournaments, whereas Le Golf National hosts European Tours Open to France, as well as hosting the Ryder Cup, of course, in 2018. It's an interesting course. It has a lot of different configurations, so there's a lot of creativity that can be used for it. But for competition, they tend to use what's called the Albatross course, par 72, little over 7,000 yards, a lot of water hazards. And the 18th hole, as I was looking at the course maps and some pictures from the 2018 Ryder Cup, very much reminded me a little bit of 17th at TPC Sawgrass, where you have a little bit of an island green with water surrounding it. The other thing that's unique about this course, which you don't see a lot in Europe, obviously with the British Open coming up here pretty soon, you always see those deep bunkers that, it's like you're walking down like a flight of stairs. These are, links style bunkers. They're very much like you'd see in most American courses. So there is a lot of sand traps, but much easier to get out of the sand traps in France than they are in the UK, it seems. Yeah. So this is easily the most recognizable course the Olympics have had. But it is going to be the most challenging, I think, for both the men and the women. This, I think, is the first Olympic golf tournament where you think of there's not a lot of other mitigating factors. 2016, you had golfers skipping because of Zika virus concerns. We saw that with Jason Day. And then obviously Tokyo was all the COVID stuff. So everything is back to normal in terms of that stuff. Hopefully that stays the case. But on the women's side, this feels like Nelly Korda's gold medal to lose. She's had an unbelievable start to the LPGA Tour season, winning her first 5 tournament starts. I think she won 6 of her first 7 tournaments. So she's in top form coming here to France. But there's a real opportunity for the U.S. to have a podium sweep here if the top players all play as we expect them to, with Lilia Vu in there. She's number 2, and then Rose Zhang, who's number 9. But like you said, South Korea is going to be very competitive. You look at Ko Jin Young and Amy Yang. Céline Boutier is the French player. She's 6th in the world, so a real chance there for a home medal in golf, which would obviously be great for the French fans over there. But then, of course, you have some other big names in there like Lydia Ko. You've got Brooke Henderson from Canada. But at the same time, everyone's going to be chasing Nelly Korda. But with Olympic golf, because you really don't have the 60 top players in the world, because if you were looking at the top 60 rankings for the men and the women, there's too many from the same country. There are country restrictions for this. There would be more than 3 Americans in this women's draw if it was the top players. So it adds a little bit of an element of surprise where you have some golfers that are a little bit more unknown, a little bit lower ranked, but could make a surprise in the games.
Yeah, I really think the United States has a really good shot at sweeping the podium. But remember, it's the Olympics and it's golf. Like anything can happen, right? And they actually have to wait until the last weekend to compete. We'll get to the schedule in just a bit. Let's shift our focus now to the men. We'll kind of separate it out into who the USA has and then who will be represented internationally that can really, fight for the podium. So the United States pretty stacked, and it's interesting because there's a lot of talk about the live golfers who aren't going to be there. Obviously, Bryson DeChambeau just coming off that win at the U.S. Open. He's not going to be there for Team USA because, Golf Rankings doesn't recognize your performance on the live tour. But that being said, very stacked for the United States. I mean, obviously, Scottie Scheffler, he won the Memorial here earlier this year. And then, of course, you have Xander Schauffele, the defending gold medalist from Tokyo. And then you have Colin Morikawa and Wyndham Clark. So, Orri, what do you think about how the United States can stack up in this golf tournament?
I think they can do very well. Obviously, Schauffele winning in Tokyo definitely kind of set the tone for the United States to put themselves in positions to start winning a lot of gold medals in men's golf. But Scottie Scheffler comes in. I think he's one of a few PGA players ever to have 6 PGA wins before the start of July. And he's not just like he's winning sort of the lesser known tournaments that, are not sort of high up on the calendar. He won the Masters again. He won the Arnold Palmer. He won the Memorial here at Muirfield Village. So the fact that he's coming in similar to Nelly Korda in that top form as a favorite is great, but it's a very competitive field here. Xander Schauffele is not going to sit down easy. Obviously had his epic PGA Championship win back in May in Valhalla. Wyndham Clark is a major champion. Colin Morikawa is a major champion, but they're going to have their hands full. I think when you look at the women's side, that podium sweep seems a little more likely just because of how much the rank, how much higher ranked they are. The American men are highly ranked too, but at the same time, this is a European course. And with the Ryder Cup, we've seen time and time again, the United States just as a team does not get the job done in Europe, and they did not in 2018 at Le Golf National. Europe won that Ryder Cup pretty convincingly, which lends me to believe that there's going to be these top Europeans who I think could be maybe a little bit more favored than Scheffler.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the European golf courses, and I guess there's something to be said about experience on the European side and why they're able to, win tournaments like the Ryder Cup, and also just be able to kind of outperform when it comes to, playing on those European golf courses. And I just don't understand how the Americans just doesn't seem to be able to find success. Speaking of international golfers, first off, I mean, obviously Central Ohio that has Jason Day to just kind of root for, obviously representing Australia. But I mean, you know this, Orri, it hasn't exactly been the greatest of seasons for Jason Day. He kind of just doesn't seem like he's at his peak anymore, but I think he's also enjoying just playing in general. I think he has a new outlook on life and just being on the tour, and he's not playing bad either. But I when you were talking about Jason Day versus the Americans, Jason Day just doesn't seem to be up there. I mean, he struggled at the Memorial too to even I don't think he made the cut if I remember correctly. But there are a lot of international golfers that could definitely pose a challenge and, as you said, could benefit from being on a European golf course.
Yeah, and the one in particular that I'm looking at is Rory McIlroy, just because he was this close to medaling in Tokyo. It was like one putt that
seems to be a theme for him. This close, and it was so tight in Tokyo. I just remember watching that final round during the Tokyo Olympics. It was very, very exciting. I think it ended up with at least like 3 or 5 golfers that were right in the mix to make like a bronze medal playoff. And that's something with the men's side. I mean, you look at the medalists from 2020, Rory Sabatini won the silver medal representing Slovakia, whereas on the women's side, you have players that won the medals in Tokyo who are a little bit more well-known and have more wins on the LPGA Tour, whereas there could be some huge surprises on the PGA side, but it is very top-heavy. Rory McIlroy, of course, has experience playing at this course with the European team at the Ryder Cup. Ludvig Aberg from Sweden. John Rahm, obviously, Victor Hovland Memorial winner from 2023. And I just think you have to look at the Europeans as having that slight edge here in France to potentially beat out Scottie Scheffler. And the other thing that's going to be interesting when you talk about the golf competitions, they're not starting off right as these Olympics get underway. They're not starting until August. So they've got a lot of time to kind of settle into France. Whether or not that's going to hurt them or help them is going to be a big question. But if there's anyone outside of Scheffler and Schauffele, who in my opinion are the favorites of the Americans,
I would say you have to look at those 4 Europeans in particular as the biggest threats.
I mean, wouldn't it be great after all the close calls that Rory McIlroy has had in big major tournaments, he could get something that's very elusive, a tournament that only happens every 4 years, and be able to win an Olympic gold medal. I mean, that's a storyline that I would certainly be rooting for. So yeah, should be very exciting stuff. Orri Benatar, always great to talk Olympics with you. Of course, we have a lot more to talk about, but for now, that wraps it up for this edition of the NBC4 Sports Digital Roundtable. We will catch you next time.